Welcome everybody back to another ioPSYte client highlight. This is Sage Jalofsky with me, the solar sage, your solar expert in solar power and all the benefits that it can reap for you. And Sage, welcome back on. It's good to have you again. How are you today?
Thanks so much, Quinn. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good, good, excellent. I know last time, we've got a post out there that we did last time where we're talking a little bit about solar power and how it works and what it is and some of the misconceptions about solar power. I know today our topic is batteries and solar power. And so we've got some very strategic questions here to ask today in regards to batteries and solar. And I guess with that said, is there anything you kind of wanted to kick us off with concerning batteries before I kind of dive into questions that people might have?
I would love to answer your questions, and I think that'll give us a good starting point. There's a ton that we can talk about regarding batteries, and yeah, I'm excited to dive into your questions.
Awesome, awesome. Okay. Well, if those of you out there watching don't know a lot about solar power, please catch our original post on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. You can find that out there, especially on the YouTube channel too for ioPSYte, and watch that video to get kind of a foundational knowledge of solar. One of the first questions I think people, might have is why should I include batteries in my solar system, or what are the top reasons for putting that in a solar configuration?
Yeah, really good question. So I'll start off by saying that battery is not something that we automatically include with all solar systems. Contrary to what a lot of people think when looking at solar for the first time or exploring their options, actually, the majority of solar homes that you see out there currently do not have any batteries connected to them. That being said, they are becoming increasingly popular. So, some of the reasons why homeowners might be adding battery with a new solar project or adding batteries into an existing solar system that they have come down to backup for power outage situations. So, that's probably a big one. Depending on where they live, if the utility lines are not extremely reliable, so the power goes out for long periods of time, half a day, multiple days at a time. That can be incredibly inconvenient and or dangerous for them, expensive if they've got pipes that burst, things like that. Another use case is folks that are on well pump water. So a lot of our solar plus battery clients are folks that do live a little bit kind of on the edges of town. Most people in town, the power does tend to be a little bit more reliable. And so a lot of them are going to get by with a grid tied net meters solar system without batteries. And so we can kind of delve a little bit more into that. But that's sort of the first use case. The second use case I want to cover is areas where there is not very good net metering programs. Now, you've heard me use that term twice now, and we can dive into that. But essentially, this is a program that allows you to sell any extra power back to the utility grid in your area. And in many cases, this is a one-for-one crediting system. For areas where you don't have a one-for-one crediting system, the name of the game is using as much of your power as possible instead of selling it back because you lose money in that regard. So, California being a really good example where a lot of the investor owned utilities, the big utilities in California, recently rolled back their net metering and they are not doing a one for one credit anymore. So, in California, it's actually way more cost effective to do a solar plus battery system for many of those clients, just to avoid those higher rate charges and the lower sellback. So those are kind of the two big use case perspective. If people just really want to be as self-sufficient as possible and utilize as much of their clean energy in the home as possible, we call this self-reliance in the solar and battery world. then battery really is that next step in making that happen.
Understood. So let me ask you this: if I'm kind of hearing what you're saying correctly in that second scenario, is
Yeah.
if my electric company providing electricity, if I'm making my own power, my own electricity with solar power, and they don't give a one-to-one credit, then it's kind of advantageous to have batteries because I can make my own power, and then I've also got a reserve of power that I can draw off of and kind of not waste that energy. Am I saying that correctly?
Exactly. Yeah. So, you think about it as when people look at solar, there's a few different ways to look at it depending on the goal. If the goal is, save as much as possible on your expenses, short term, long term, um, then we want to sort of optimize for that and look at the cost benefit analysis of having a battery versus not having a battery. If the goal is self reliance, is being as environmental, using as much clean energy as possible, then we can sort of optimize for that as well. So that's where the nuance of customizing a system to individual home and individual person's needs and desires comes into play.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I could see that being very effective, especially in the more modern work world now, where remote work has become a thing. Might be really nice to be able to continue working during an outage.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, thanks for answering that. Does Is there any advantage? I'm sure homeowners and businesses ask this. Is there any advantage to including batteries uh, when it during the initial install, or is it does it really matter whether they're added later or not?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And we get that a lot. So anytime we're doing a project that requires permitting, utility approvals, loans, things like that, the more that we can batch together into one project, there is going to be a bit of cost savings from a labor, standpoint, right? Um, and also time savings. That being said, a lot of the systems and all of the systems that I currently offer through my brokerage are pre-designed to be battery ready, meaning that all of the inverters, all of the components are, designed to play nice with a battery down the road. That didn't used to be the case up until a few years ago. Or even last year, a lot of solar systems were being sold and installed with inverters that didn't function with batteries. And so for folks going back and getting retrofits, they actually would need to replace that inverter and have it upgraded. And part of that's just due to the technology advancements that have come out in recent years.
Yeah, yeah, that's good to know. Yeah, that's very interesting. Um, when people get batteries, I'm sure some are kind of wondering, can they choose which devices are powered by those batteries and under what circumstances those batteries kick in? Are they able to kind of customize that, or is that something that's more of a fixed feature?
Yeah, awesome question. And that sort of references the slide I have here behind me. There's different configurations. So we can do partial home, whole home backup, um, and it can be very customizable. So when we size the system for somebody, we can have that battery connect directly into their main electric loads panel for the house or the breaker box, as many homeowners think of it. And that way, any power during an outage is going to automatically feed everything sort of equally. So whatever is drawing, it's going to feed that. That's one way to do it. For folks that they really want to focus on the essentials and they want to sort of optimize for just a few main circuits and have more power for a longer period for those essential circuits, then we can actually tie that battery into a separate loads panel that breaks those circuits out. For example, internet, fridge, lights, heating, things like that might be considered, essential for some folks. And then for other folks that are okay paying a little bit more and want more of a whole home feature, we would need more battery backup. So larger batteries, more batteries to achieve that purpose.
Got it. That's awesome. So I could
Yeah.
potentially prioritize my movie over my security system if I wanted to.
You could, and we have the ability now with a smart panel technology to actually have an app where when you get your batteries installed, you can go into your app and see, here's everything that's connected currently. I can, with a switch of a button, turn off this circuit, that circuit, and see how that will extend the battery life. So super customizable with those smart panel options now.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know I use the app for my system that you provided for me, and it's really nice to see it as well. And in fact, I was just this kind of a sidebar. I was out of town, and you had gifted me that digital thermostat. Thank you for that, by the way. And so because of
Yeah,
that, I got an alert early in the morning that our furnace had tried to kick in and the heat had not risen. And so it was really nice because I was able to kind of proactively take care of my family out of town and start making arrangements for repair tech to take a look at the furnace. So it was really, really cool. Like I knew beforehand, before my business day even started, that what kind of boat I was in. So it was really awesome. So if you haven't, everybody out there, if you've not experienced that kind of technology, it's really a value add and so convenient. So
yeah.
which is fantastic. Yeah. If there's I'm sure this is the most common question that you perhaps get. If there is a power outage, how long does the typical battery last or what's entailed? And, is there a way people can kind of guesstimate what they need or that kind of thing as far as backup power?
Absolutely, yeah. So we can customize it. And when we go through a battery sizing for somebody, we ask a series of questions to figure out again what the priority is and what sort of battery backup do they want, essentials or sort of a whole home. And then when we size that, we can determine um, based on average use of those appliances of the energy in the home, are we going to get 10 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours of battery backup in that outage. Typically, we're going to size it for somewhere around 12 to 15 hours
Wow.
because that's sort of the best bang for your buck, where we're not going super overboard with, multiple days of backup, just enough to get you through the night. Because what'll happen is the next day when the sun comes up, it'll automatically kick your system back on, start powering your house if you have the batteries with solar, and start recharging those batteries again for the next night. Um, so we really just need enough to get you through the nighttime and start recharging again in most cases, and then those batteries can run for weeks on end.
Yeah, that boy, that, just thinking about that, what's so cool is that really makes me think of that self-reliance. I mean, that's exactly what you're talking about. It's now a self-sustaining system, which is really cool. I mean, it really brings that to light. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's really neat to think about. Do the batteries require maintenance and what happens if a battery fails? What's the process in that?
Yeah, really good question. In general, the batteries are not going to require much maintenance or any maintenance routinely. Um, the biggest thing with batteries or solar is just to check your monitoring software periodically because they actually will have alerts. There's software in there to identify if there's an issue. And typically, you would just reach out to us, to your customer care team, or do it directly through the app, and we'll be able to do remote troubleshooting to identify that, potentially solve the issue remotely. And if not, we'll send a technician out there to do that. In most cases, that work would be 100% covered under your warranty. The battery warranties are a little less than the solar warranties. Currently, we offer a 30-year coverage for the solar panels, inverter, etc. Batteries are going to come with a 10 to 15-year warranty. That's industry standard. So that's what you can expect with that.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. Um, Recently, and I want to ask this question, recently in
Yeah.
the news, I saw during some cold weather some not so happy customers with their electric vehicles, and we won't mention brand names, but is weather for those who live like, we're in Colorado or I'm in Colorado, is weather, even though we're a very sunny state, is cold weather a concern with batteries and solar?
Yeah, so you mean like the temperature would it affect the batteries or you know?
Right, right. I mean, where do the batteries sit outside? Are they inside, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, good question. So with a lot of electronics that have, computers in them, there is ideal operating temperatures, and that's also true for batteries. Uh, Typically, we want to keep that battery above freezing and for optimal conditions. They are designed to go below freezing and still perform. So, in wintertime, etc., they are designed to be installed inside or outside. But in Colorado, for example, like where you live and some other states, where it can get very cold, below freezing during times of the winter, we do try and install them inside if possible, in a garage or a utility closet, a room like that. Again, if possible, just to condition the temperature and keep it below freezing if possible, because you'll get more life out of that battery, more juice out of that battery. Um,
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that's great. And let's say I have an existing solar installation like I have,
mhm.
like we've put in place. If I want to get batteries, is there any kind of process? Do I need to notify the electric company or anything like that, or is it just something we just decide to do and we do it?
Yeah, yeah. So currently, it is a process that you want to make sure to get permitted and approved with the utility if it is a home and grid integrated battery. There are sort of backup batteries that don't tie directly into your home's loads panel, which so they function more like a generator. They're not going to kick on automatically, but if you get a solar home battery that kicks on automatically, that's able to feed your house, feed into the grid. Um, these are what qualify for tax credits, just like solar. You do need to have those permitted and approved by the utility. So same process as solar. But yeah, they do qualify for a 30% tax credit, just like your solar system.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah, and that's something, Sage, that's something that you help with, just like you do with the initial solar power installation. Everything's kind of you help the customer lift that all along the way, and it's really not too
Yeah,
much of a hassle.
absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where, with everyone, I always say let's schedule just a quick phone consultation, a phone chat, see if, based on what your goals are, your needs, your wants, if it's a good fit, what we can do to help. Sometimes I tell people, hey, really this isn't a good option for you for whatever reason. But if not, then we'll schedule sort of a more in-depth conversation.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. If let's say you've got batteries on the grid, so to speak, like we're talking about, those batteries fail for whatever reason. I know that's probably unlikely, but let's say that whatever those batteries fail or quit working. Does that eliminate power to the home, or does that cause any kind of an outage, or does it just continue to function and the end user gets an alert regarding faulty batteries or that kind of thing? How does that play out?
Yeah, so you will get an alert if the battery fails, is your question.
Yes, yeah. Let's say the battery fails. Does that then limit the solar power system from working?
Oh, sorry, no. Yeah, so the solar power system will still be able to operate independently. They all communicate through the main electric panel in the house.
Great.
Um, so yeah, you don't need that battery to be working. If for some reason it needs some service, needs to be replaced, the solar can operate during that period.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. Well, this has been very informative. I think every time you're on and we're spending time together and learning about these things, I learned something new. So it's very valuable. I appreciate your time. Someone wants to get started with solar, or someone has solar and they want to pursue some battery technology for that added kind of self-reliance and uptime.
Yeah.
What's their next step? How do they go about getting a hold of you to have a discussion?
Yeah, great question. So you can reach out to me. You can find more information. My Facebook business page, The Solar Sage. Again, I'm an independent energy broker. I serve 24 states across the U.S., based out of Colorado. And so you can find information about me there. You can also just contact me at 720-443-0427. Call, text. Be happy to speak with anybody. Um, yeah, that'll do it.
Wonderful, wonderful. If you're out there and you happen to watch this video, I can tell you from personal experience, it's a pleasure to work with Sage. It's very low pressure. He's not a person who's trying to hard sell you on something, and he legitimately means it when he says that if solar's not a good fit for you, or any piece of that equation is not a good fit for you, he's going to tell you. And I promise you for sure that he will take care of you. He has taken care of me, and we are definitely enjoying and reaping the benefits of our solar power system. So it's really cool. It's very awesome. Sage, thanks for being on again. I hope you have a great day today, and I hope your day is sunny today to speak in solar language.
Love it. Likewise, Quinn. Great to talk to you as always. Thanks for having me on, and aloha to all of your guests watching this later. Hope to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all for watching. This has been another client highlight with Quinn Denny, your work psychologist of ioPSYte. Take care, everybody.